Focusing now on the USMNT players in the Premier League. There's a lot of them this season, lads. Let's focus now on how the Americans got on in the Premier League in week one, because I watched Leeds against Wolves, and Brenden Aaronson and Tyler Adams were both key in that win. I mean, Aaronson, he was initially given the winning goal late in the game, and then it was given as an Antonee own goal. Aaronson said, I'm claiming it. That was my goal. Came off my shin and then came off the Wolves defender. But both are really, really aggressive, hungry. Aaronson also won the ball back for Leeds' first goal to equalise, and Adams was typically snapping into challenges. Really good battle midfield for him there. And Wolves almost had to just bypass midfield because they weren't getting a lot of joy. But they were getting a lot of joy when they got in behind Leeds' defence. But for those two players, I think it was really positive to have a win at Elland Road to start their Premier League careers, for Jesse Marsch to kind of get that positive vibe from the end of last season, carried over to the start of this season. And Leeds needed a fast start, I think. But lads, what do we think? Because Tyler Adams in particular, great midfield splitting pass to set up the move for the winning goal. Nick, I mean, we want these two players to do really well, and Marsch to do really well at Leeds, don't we? So it's great to see a couple of Americans excelling in the Premier League.
I like that when we get multiple Americans at the same club, it also happens to work out in a nice English language way. So we had full America, and a friend of mine who's a Leeds fan tweeted Leeds United States of America after the win. And I thought that was funny. Look, I think here's what you're going to see. Brenden Aaronson, I think, is going to be popular all year. Tyler Adams and Jesse Marsch are going to be popular depending on how Leeds did that week, because both of them are imposing an aggressive style. Both of them want Leeds to get after it. Wolves, I thought, honestly, had a little bit more fun than they should have. You're right in saying they had to adjust to be a little bit more aggressive and to bypass the midfield and all that. But at the same time, I thought that got themselves into dangerous situations, despite the fact no Raul Jimenez, that they put Fabio Silva on loan. I worry about what this is going to look like when they play against a bigger teams in charge. It was heartening to see Rodrigo have the day he had. I do like some of the players they have at the back end, but I do worry on the whole that Leeds is going to be limited by the caliber of the midfield they play against.
Yeah, that's true. And Illan Meslier was really good in goal, made a couple of big saves as well. So defensively, Leeds still got their work cut out, but going forward, it was great to see Aaronson just linking up and finding those little gaps and demanding the ball, and a great ball in from Patrick Bamford, who's fit and back and leading the line for him as well to finish that off. But Andy, a final point on Leeds and that American duo and the US coach.
Yeah, I think it wasn't a bad matchup for Leeds, but I think the way that Wolves attack you, it's strictly on the counterattack, and it's strictly through the wings, especially when they don't have Raul Jimenez available. And so that sets up to do really well against Leeds, because Leeds are going to try to press you so much. And so you're already looking to play the ball out wide and play the ball in behind, and they're just creating more space for you to do that into. And so I actually think Leeds are going to look a lot better defensively, depending on who they play against. When they play teams that want to have the ball, I'm thinking Brighton. I'm even thinking the likes of a Manchester City. We know that Leeds, gave them some struggles under Bielsa a couple of times. And so I feel like Leeds was a really, really bad matchup to start the season with, if that's how we're going to gauge what this team is going to look like under Jesse Marsch. He's obviously still got 37 more games to go, and I think this is going to be a really good Leeds team. I saw a lot of people putting them down in the relegation conversation this season. I think I had them pretty comfortably mid-table, or almost pushing into mid-table. It just feels like the right pieces are there, and if you believe in Jesse Marsch as a coach, which I don't think we really have any choice but to do, because I think we want to see an American succeed in the Premier League, then I think they've got what they need to have a solid season at Leeds this year. If they can stay healthy, there's a lot of players that have had a lot of injuries. And I think moving on from Rafinha, moving on from Calvin Phillips almost gives them a freedom to be a bit more of a collective unit. It's not the two stars and everybody else. It really is going to become, and especially under an American coach, I think it really is going to become just a combination of everybody together. So I'm cautiously optimistic and borderline hopeful for I think what this season could be for Leeds.
There you go. It's going to be a good season for the hashtag Yorkshire Yanks. Moving on to Fulham and their two Americans, Tim Ream and Antonee Robinson. Both played the full 90. As I said, I was at Craven Cottage for that. Robinson was bombing on right in front of me. Every time Tim Ream made a clearance, the crowd would Ream. He's a hero, an absolute legend at Fulham. And to think he was this close to going to QPR and went there late on, but it's a huge season for both of those players. I think for Robinson to maybe get himself onto the next step of Premier League clubs, a top 10 team, a top 6 team. He's got that ability, especially in the final third. And for Tim Ream, he was in a championship team of the season last year. Very stable defender, very comfortable playing out from the back. It's a big few months for him because I still think he can start for the US. I still think he can play a key role in that one centre-back position they really need to fill. And it would be a pretty good fit as well on the left-hand side of the defence. So, again, he made one small error for the Liverpool second goal. The cross came in. He tried to clear it, didn't get enough on it, flicked, fell down. Salah scores. You know, I wouldn't say that was a huge error. He was trying to clear it, and it was more miscommunication. But, yeah, I was really happy to see both those guys playing a key role in a Premier League game, obviously at different ends of their career. But it's great to see the full America vibes going strong there at Craven Cottage. And, I think Tim Ream's got a big few months to prove to Greg Berhalter he can play in Qatar. But you guys jump in. Who wants to jump in?
Yeah, if you rewind about 45 or 60 seconds, I think you'll see the moment where I realized that Tim Ream's going to start the first game at the World Cup. I think I just had that moment. It just clicked in my brain that because I think for so long he's been out of the conversation of the national team. He's been in squads because I think obviously the leadership and the experience, I think Berhalter obviously rates, and multiple managers have done this. And so there's clearly something there that's valuable within the squad dynamic. But then it dawned on me, he might actually be the second best center back who will be playing regularly every single game at a very, very high level in the Premier League leading up to the World Cup. And, we talk about the goalkeepers. Do they need to be playing? Your center backs certainly need to be playing. And if Chris Richards is only going to, just be coming into the Palace team by then, maybe, or maybe he gets some, obviously there's a lot to be played out between now and then, but there is a very, very real possibility. It's within the range of outcomes that Tim Ream starts game one at the World Cup for the U.S. And it wouldn't be the worst thing, I don't think.
Who will have spent more time bodying up Harry Kane level center forwards, him or Aaron Long? Simple as that. I'm not a huge Aaron Long. I like Aaron Long's story a lot. I like him and I like his effort and his energy and all that. But I still can't get past that fact that we're going to try and stop a group of very talented English forwards with guys who don't see that all year. That scares me.
The thing for me, Nick, is if you go to then having Ream and then you've got Antonee Robinson playing right alongside him, that connection there, they play with each other at Fulham, left-sided centre-back and left-back week in, week out. So that's another positive, I think, for that. And Ream also can play left-back. He can play and hold in midfield. He's versatile enough. But, yeah, it was promising from him. And I was just sat there thinking the whole time, like Andy said, I think playing regularly, he may be the next best choice for the USA. And I would definitely have him in the squad for his leadership, professionalism, how good of a guy he is. I think you need people like that at a tournament, whether or not he plays. That's another thing. But I chalked him down. Like I would definitely put him on the plane to Qatar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's focus now on some of the other players. Across West London, Christian Pulisic played 25 minutes, came off the bench for Chelsea in their win at Everton. Nick, he didn't do too much, right? I mean, he had a few dribbles, fouled a few times. Tough game to come on in when Everton are pushing hard to get an equaliser. Thoughts on Pulisic in the latest? Because Timo Werner's leaving to Leipzig. It looks like Chelsea are going to stick with him for the first few months of the season. So what do you think about Pulisic?
I think he's going to get his chances. I think he's absolutely going to get his chances. That game was a challenging one to come into. You said it correctly. If you're in the flow of the game and maybe getting some touches and popping in and out, that's another thing. I thought he had some moments. He had a couple of uncalled fouls. I don't know if he's getting a reputation now because he is such an often fouled player. But Everton, the minute that they, unfortunately, let's hope Ben Godfrey's okay. But the minute they lost him and then Yerry Mina got hurt, it was all hands on deck. And when they did have the ball, they attacked in a very kind of challenging way to hit on the counter. It was a weird game. And I don't want to judge Chelsea based off it. I also don't want to judge Everton based off it. I certainly will not be judging Christian Pulisic off it.
No, we know what he's capable of course. And it's Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially the rotation needed for these big Premier League teams who are going to be in Champions League and all the other competitions. So he's going to get minutes and he's going to get chances, like you said there, Nick. And we'd hope that Matt Turner, Arsenal, and Chris Richards of Crystal Palace are going to get minutes and chances. They were both unused substitutes, obviously coming into the Premier League, new. It's difficult for Chris Richards, I think, seeing Mark Gay, he's the captain at Crystal Palace, one centre-back, and then Anderson was superb with his distribution as the other centre-back. So Chris Richards there, unless there's an injury, it's going to be tough for him, I think, to get some minutes at centre-back. But he can play right-back, he can play in midfield, can play over. So I think there's going to be a bit of patience there for him in that situation. And for Matt Turner in the Europa League and other cup competitions, he's going to get minutes as well. Andy, you want to jump in very quickly?
Yeah, Palace is really, really perfect to go to a back three. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's true. They got a talented young player like that. Vieira's not going to be, in two minds to use him. So still early days. He only just arrived a little while ago. So intriguing to see how the situation unfolds there for him in South London. But remember, over on Pro Soccer Talk and NBCSports.com, each week of the Premier League season, we'll be rounding up how all these US players have fared, how many minutes they got, how they looked. And there's a lot for us to focus on because there's a lot more American players in the Premier League this season, which we absolutely love, lads. So long may that continue and bring even more over in the final weeks of the transfer window.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.